Thank you, sir. Hi, guys. Yes, so I've got two challenges here today. One is that I come from the dark side, the consulting world, and hopefully I can explain why I sort of belong here, I hope. And the other one is that I'm not a creative. Yeah, I'm the analytical person, but I am a marketer at heart. I always have been. When I started marketing over 20 years ago, I was one of those guys who believed marketing could be a science. And 20 years ago, I was very much swimming against the trend. Everybody's enamored with building brands, curating the brands, driving the creative, and it's fantastic. And kudos to all of you guys who do that. I wasn't built like that. And what I would like to share with you is sort of some reflections and things that we're seeing right now where I think marketing is changing. And I think you guys are seeing it. And the reason why I'm here is probably one of those reasons where we are appreciating how it's very, very much a different discipline to what it was 10, 15, even 5 years ago. So I'll start. Now, some pictures. Who has seen these, guys? Few people. Okay, so for those who have not seen these pictures are created by Google Artificial Intelligence engine. Yeah? They take a piece of art and they transform it based on their experiences, based on the learning they are doing. So is it art? Is it science? Is it a bit of both? What it is and what it signals to us is change. We as humans, we as marketers are entering a phase where our roles are irreversibly changing. And the question is, how do we deal with it? And how do we reinvent ourselves, not only as marketers, but as humans in the marketing value chain? So, a couple of thoughts. And none of these should be groundbreaking to you guys, but I think it's good to pull it together to build a bit of a frame in regards to understanding where we are right now. So there are very much a bunch of new realities that we as marketers need to deal with right now. And we've heard some of them from the two very informed previous speakers. On the left, we've seen this before, the traditional funnel, we feel it's dead, right? No one is, we are all consumers. The way we buy, the way we experience the brands, the way we consume, the way we search, the way we evaluate pre, post, and during even the consumption process is radically different to what it was before, right? We are in charge, and you've heard it before, right? So it's very hard for brand curators to control that information funnel, to control the experience, to herd us consumers down the funnel. Does not work anymore. The other thing that we've observed is that consumers are much better or have been much better at taking the innovation and grabbing the technology and using technology to change their experiences with the brands that marketers have been. We, as the curators of the brands, as the technologists of the marketing discipline, have lagged behind the technology. We actually resisted the change, and we fell behind. And at the point right now, I think marketers are playing catch-up to the consumers and to the technologies. Now, personalization as a word, you've all heard it. For me and for us at Accenture, that's the new baseline. Yeah? Unless the message is personalized, unless experience is personalized or very much micro-targeted, it doesn't have the pull-through power to connect with the consumer. Yeah? And unfortunately, what we're seeing with our clients is that that personalization aspect, it's still not at the heart of everything that is being done. And increasingly, it needs to be, right? Because we as consumers do not have the time to interact with generic emails. We do not have the patience to look at those, to open those, to click through, and so forth. We want to be engaged in a way that's relevant to us. So how do you do that? And that's the challenge, and I think that's where things get actually quite exciting. Because I think where we are right now is where we can intersect the art and the science to achieve that. Now, at the same time, that personalization, it's a funny thing. You know, you've heard the phrases, the cool versus creepy, right? If you get too personalized, too predictive, too precise in your message, it freaks people out. You know, they sort of just shut down at a certain point. We've all heard the Target story with the US, you know, with the prediction of, you know, people being pregnant and fathers freaking out as a result of that, right? We've done some research with the US customers in regards to what's acceptable and what's creepy, right? So I think customers are willing to go out and interact and be faced with something that is very personalized and predictive. They are willing to open up, you know, their information for the brands to interact in those ways. But also, you know, the brakes are on at a certain point as well. And I think it's different for every country, it's different for every brand, it's different for every segment, micro-segment, and so forth. So what's coming through here is the sheer complexity that we have to deal with. And this complexity is getting beyond the ability of the human brain to actually contain and cope with. So again, how do you deal with that? You've got a great creative, you've got a good idea, but how do you connect in the right way? So, there is a way, potentially, I don't know. I'll give you my thoughts and then you can take it on and digest. This is the way that we at Accenture sort of try to, what we call, you know, become the experience architects. And that's the sort of the nomenclature that we use in regards to how we interact with our clients, how we want to interact with the consumers. And it's moving away from us sort of, you know, being plumbers, which is what Accenture used to be, to a company and an experience where we get involved with the whole ecosystem. So on the left, and I'll introduce you to it, I think it's pretty straightforward, but I'll just sort of break it down. And what I'll do is for each one of those, I'll give you a bit of a deep dive and a couple of stories to illustrate what I'm trying to convey. Maybe don't make sense, maybe not, but let's have a go. So the first one is data, right? And me coming from the scientific angle, right? I firmly believe that increasingly for the copy or creative or content to be successfully, you know, engaged or to engage with the consumer, it needs to be married to some sort of insight in regards to data. Now, the way to look at data from marketing perspective, it's quite interesting because data is usually the biggest challenge that we find when we engage with clients in regards to doing these things. And so I'm going to give you a bit of a 101, and if you know some of this, please forgive me. Start digesting in regards to how you do the data thing, right? The way we view data is, first of all, internal data. So what the client has internally in regards to CRM systems and so forth to understand the customer's profiles, histories, et cetera, et cetera. And then what they do externally to enrich it. Yeah? You know, looking inward is not good enough anymore, right? Because it only informs about the history of the customer that he or she had with you. What about the broader experiences? What about the broader sort of data sets? You need to start ingesting that. Then you've got batch versus real time. So most CRM systems are sort of batch. They update every night, maybe every hour now these days. But the clear expectation that we're hearing from our clients is that marketing is becoming a real-time discipline, right? The interactions are real-time. The digital world is real-time, right? How do you cope with that, right? How do you manage to push out messages, to respond, react in real time, right? Again, humanly impossible, right? We need help, right? Either from science or machines or somehow, right? Then the last one is structured versus unstructured. So structured data is something you can describe it in a nice, beautiful table, an Excel spreadsheet. It's got fields and so forth. But YouTube, all the other video-based, Instagram, all the other image-based data sources. A lot of the data is actually unstructured these days, right? How do you delve into that? How do you leverage that? And there are ways. So the first thing that we do is, try to stabilize the data. Because unless the data is right, the rest of the funnel doesn't work, or the rest of the flowchart doesn't work at all. Then, it's what you do with it. So this is the analytics and the insight stuff, right? And it's all, the theory hasn't changed, right? When I started marketing 20 years ago, it was all about segmentation, understanding customer purchase behavior, all that stuff, right? It's still there, but however now, you can do stuff with it, right? You can, at scale, micro-segment. You can act on those segments in a specific manner. You can tailor the message. You can act on it in real time, right? If you do this right. Couple of builds. So you do the data, you run the insights, and you execute, obviously, right channel, right time, real time, et cetera, right? Pretty straightforward in theory, hard to practice, and hard to execute. The first fail point that we observe as well is even if you get this right, the closed loop in regards to refreshing the insights does not take place, right? I have multiple conversations with clients where, we come in and say, oh, we've got this fantastic propensity model. We really understand how our segments work, yeah? We've done the segmentation, we've got micro-segments, everything's good, right? We run this model, and the first question I ask is, well, how long have you had it for, right? And, conversation I had with the top 4 bank is, well, we've built those propensity models 4 years ago. Yeah, 4 years. Think about what you were doing 4 years ago. How the economy was, what type of customer experiences you were having, type of channels that were open to your consumers. I mean, it's useless, right? So that closing of the loop is critical to stay relevant to the consumer while this is being done. The other one is, and this is where the funky stuff happens, I think, right now, is the data helps. The data creates a compass point. But the worst thing that can happen is the insights become the straitjacket for execution, right? And the exciting thing that I think is happening right now is a lot of clients are figuring out that sweet spot of saying, okay, I've got the science, I understand the consumers, I sort of know how they behave, I understand the propensities. Then I've got much better information to marry the creative content and copy to those consumers, right? And that's really cool, right? Nothing beats good content, creative or copy, right? Because that's what engages emotionally with our consumers, right? But let's make sure that the scientific angle is done as well, right? Because then those two brought together is a very, very powerful combination. Now, there's a further fly in the ointment. Next 2 to 3 years, we see that a lot of this infrastructure that's been built by humans, operated by humans, and modeled by humans, that's what my guys do, is actually going to be replaced, right, by artificial intelligence, right? So you've seen Watson from IBM, right, and others, and we do a lot of this stuff as well. The sheer complexity of running segmentation, propensity models, recommendations, and so forth is becoming too complex. And that's where machine learning and artificial intelligence comes into play. And again, the technology is nearly there. So we as humans, again, will be potentially displaced, right? From engineering this to potentially just supervising it to make sure the machines don't go crazy, yeah? And it is happening. And there are three areas where machines will play a role in helping to refine the segments, in helping to provide the propensities and recommendations, and then to also close the learning loop as well, yeah? So it's pretty cool stuff, if you're that way inclined. So I'm going to go a quick deep dive into data and then give you guys a perspective on each of those things. So data, this is the profile, it's very simple, traffic light stuff, that I see on average or below average, right now. Most of it is red, yeah, unfortunately. We see usually the companies have batch internal data, mostly under control, and some external stuff as well. Real time, just emerging. Unstructured, just emerging. So there's still a way to go there. That's a more advanced profile. Yeah. What that gives us, and what the nirvana here is, it gives us the customer profile or customer analytic record, as we call it. Yeah. And that's being sucked up from the blue things, right? The one at the bottom is interesting, the Internet of Things, all the sensors that are being built right now and deployed everywhere. That's, again, going to transform the way the data is ingested about us as consumers. I was at a dinner yesterday with a bunch of sort of very senior analytics people, and it was a very interesting case study about health being affected by that. So there's some good stories. Now, what you want to do here is basically use the blue to get the yellow, right? Spending patterns, communication and interaction, touchpoints, preferences, offer promotion preferences, all the stuff that allows us to target the copy creative more precisely. Yeah? Who's doing it? Some examples of companies that do data really well, in our opinion, and I use intentionally overseas examples here. Verizon and CVS in the US are quite good. We work with both of them. Verizon is monetizing the data, right? They got real-time data. They triangulate how people move around based on the mobile phones and so forth to then serve the right content, for example, in sports venues. Yeah? So in a basketball game, they analyze the audience. They got different ads showing on different side of the screen, for example, based on the audience. Real time. Yeah? CVS, which is the second largest drugstore in the US, I'm sure you guys would have heard about them. They monetize the data with the suppliers. So they share all the performance data with Pepsi and Coke, for example, simultaneously to allow them to understand how they sell in the stores and to allow them to come back to CVS with better offers. So they double dip. Yeah? They sell the data and they get better promotions. It's pretty cool. So then insights, next stuff. Again, just diving into that. So we've seen the left side. Here, the key message here is about, really trying to atomize your customer as much as you can. Yeah? And there is no single answer. There are multiple segmentation schemas that you should use simultaneously. So from RFM to personas to microsegmentation for different purposes. Yeah? You don't just use one. Yeah? And I was working with Carrefour a few years ago, which is a hypermarket chain from Europe, I'm sure you guys know. And they were actually quite good because they recognized it very quickly, right? They use this segmentation schema for very basic promotions, that one for much more specific promotions. This is an example from a mobile bank, pure digital play in Poland, and I'll talk about it in a second. And you can see how visually many bubbles they have, right? And they treat each of those bubbles differently in regards to the offers they give them, right? So they have different propensities, different personas, and so forth, right? They punch it through a next best action or next best offer engine, depending on the nomenclature. And then they provide those personalized treatments. And more importantly, have that real-time loop. Yeah? That's what we're looking for. So scaled, pervasive, and integrated. Consultant. Buzzwords come to me naturally. This is the bank, so it's M Bank. I'm Polish, but there's no connection. It's actually owned by Commerzbank in Germany. It's their pure play digital offer in Poland right now. And they have, and I really invite you to look at them, right? Since it's a digital bank, you can just punch it up on your iPhone. They've got a digital kitchen sink, as I call it, right? Anything that you could think of in regards to maximizing, personalizing, enhancing the digital experience, they do. Yeah? They've got full geolocation through that, because if you opt in on their app, of course, so they can track you and then serve you offers that are vendor sponsored, right? So you walk past the shop, they figure out, this offer could be relevant for you. It's on your phone, right? Video chat, full personalization, treatment, banking a la carte, so your app looks different depending on who you are and so forth, right? Very, very cool stuff. Hugely driven by science, but with fantastic creative aspect to it as well, to emotionally engage with the customer. Yeah. Third one, the execution. This is an interesting one as well. So again, lots of flux in this one. We've all heard about programmatic and all that stuff. The media agencies are changing the way they buy and serve and so forth. Again, no single standard here. We're seeing stuff being taken in-house. We see stuff being taken out. We operate some programmatic marketing as well in different parts of the globe. Still evolving, yeah? But again, the theme is the same, right? It's about really understanding the customer and then serving them the right message through marriage of science and the art, yeah? And you can see that here, again, very clear message in regards to the data, yeah? And if I leave one thing with you today is to really try to understand, comprehend, and start talking about data, yeah? Because that's a mission-critical capability right now for any marketer, yeah? And if your clients are not talking about data, they should, and they will, right? With you, most likely, right? So what is your story here, yeah? And then the execution, obviously, again, real-time and very much driven by insights, but also fueled by content and creative. Yeah. Interesting example. So P&G, which you guys probably would know, huge investment in digital capabilities over the last decade. Yeah. We have 1,000 people that work for P&G at Accenture. 1,000. We manage all their digital brands globally in regards to their web presence. We help their brand directors, brand managers to curate the content, to tailor the content to different markets. Yeah? And we work with them hand by hand to drive innovation. And this is where I think it's interesting how we as a consulting industry and consulting firms are evolving as well. Accenture has always prided itself on delivering the end benefit and being there for the long haul. And it's translating to digital capabilities as well. We will operate. We will take risk. We will hold the hand of the client all the way to the bank, all the way to that last interaction. Yeah? And again, that's another change in regards to that ecosystem of marketing that we are seeing right now, right? And agencies, consulting companies are reinventing themselves, coalescing around the clients in a different way. Yeah? And it is exciting, but also very tumultuous as well for all of us. Yeah? Another one is, from analytics perspective, again, because it's such a new discipline for marketers, it's creating a lot of chaos or change within the marketing departments globally in most of our clients, to be honest. We've got all sorts of fantastic frameworks that describe how good you are as an analytics organization. Here are some brands. And they also have different models in regards to how they organize themselves. And right now what we see globally is everybody's coalescing around hub and spoke. So what that means is you've got a central analytics capability, but then you have specific specialists working directly with brands, right, to help them drive insights, to help them connect art and science together on day-to-day, ideally real-time basis. Yeah? And the other way of looking at it is we've got this model called Delta, which allows us to understand how good the companies are in regards to evolving their analytics capability. And again, you look at data on the left, which is cool, but if you just fix the data without understanding, how you're going to use it, how you're going to execute at scale, then it just doesn't matter, does it, right? Data will not make you money, right? It's how you use it that's going to make you money, how you engage with the customer ultimately that's going to change their experience and convince them that your brand experience is preferable to that brand experience. So fast data, fast insights, fast actions. Yeah. We believe, this is the way that we present our capabilities. Yeah, as a wave. Very much experience-led. Very much looking at marketing capabilities, content, and commerce as the drivers.
fueled by analytics, and underpinned by the heritage that we have in regards to being the plumbers. Yeah? We are the creative, funky plumbers now. Yeah? So, yeah, some messages there. I'm happy to take questions. I'll be around. But I felt, it would be cool to paint that picture for you guys. So thank you very much for listening.